That one night, it changed my life. But I'm fighting these tears because I'm telling her, I'm like, if I don't go home, I'm not going to have a home to go home to. When he lights his cigarette, and when he lights his cigarette, he turns and he throws the lighter down, and the whole dining room table just poof. Hi, my name is Kahtea. I am a survivor of domestic violence. So this is a story of how I fell for it and almost lost my life. I guess I had to be about 23, 24. And I was freshly out of a bad marriage that was abusive as well, but not quite as abusive, and had fallen in love with the club life. And I was smart enough to know that you can't just club all the time, so I got a job at the club. So I was like, I work at the club. The rule was to work for the night, you had to at least sell one tray of shots. It was a purely commission-based position. My ex, he was a club regular, and him and his boys just come in every week with their little matching fit. He would buy however many shots I had left on my tray. He would buy them all and just hand them out so that I could go dance with them and so that I could have the rest of the night off. So he did that for 3 months. And I had a strict rule. I didn't date from the club because it just didn't seem like the best dating grounds. Again, I'm young. I had kids. I had 3 children at this point, and my ex-husband had really put it in my head that nobody would want me because I was young with 3 kids. So it got embedded in me that I wasn't going to be able to find anybody. This attention felt good, and then I saw someone that in the club that I didn't like flirting with him. So I got protective and possessive over that space a little bit. That is how our relationship started. I mean, we were together for 6 years. So that one night, it changed my life. And for 3 months, he would come in and buy every shot off of my tray so that I could have the rest of the night off to dance and be with him. And that went on until I got jealous of another girl flirting with him. And that one night ended up changing my life. The relationship began more as a casual thing. Then it got kind of serious, but I was going through a lot and I had moved away for a minute. I moved to another state for a while and then I came back to visit. So when I came back, he got this house that he surprised me with. And he's like, I don't want you to leave. And we had been dating off and on for about a year at that point. So I never left. And we just began this life together. We ended up having a son in about 3 years into our relationship. But that whole time it was rocky. At times we were homeless or staying with friends. The relationship, it was kind of toxic. The red flags were there, but I was really naive that like the red flags, like excessive drinking. He dabbled a lot more than I did. I was the naive, innocent girlfriend who like didn't really understand this hood life in a way. A lot. I remember nights sitting up all night. When are you coming home? Just wondering. Or I remember calling hospitals, calling jails, because I don't know if you got shot or if you're locked up. And he would be gone. He would always come back with the most extravagant stories of what had happened. The first time was actually worse than the actual incident that almost took my life, because the incident that almost took my life was so quick. But the first time, and it's still to this day, I don't know why I stayed, and neither one of us can really remember what the fight was even over. So we were in this hotel and we get into some fight. I think it was because we were supposed to go somewhere or something. I don't really remember. But I left because when I get angry, I go for a walk. So I decided to go for a walk, and he pulls up next to me in my car and demands that I get in the car. My daughter calls me and he grabs my phone and he throws my phone out the window. And I'm telling him like, hey, that's my kid. I need to find out what's. He's like, it's not going to matter anyway. And he took me to this field off of 103rd and he beat the brakes off of me. And I really thought I was going to die that day. I was laying face down in some mud. Folks had been like ATVing through this field. So there were like areas where there were like mud puddles from the tires. And I'm laying face down in this mud and he's got his arm around my neck. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm wondering who's going to find me. Like, is it going to be like a search party? Is it going to be these people who maybe come out here at our ATV? I'm processing in my head how this is going to play out. And at some point, something snaps in him and he begins to come to some sense of WTF, what am I really doing? He backs up off of me and he goes to the trunk and he gets out this blade that he had and he starts talking really suicidal. And he's telling me at this point to leave him in this field and to go. I'm in this weird space where I snap into like, I don't want to leave him. Like now I'm trying to protect him in a way. He's talking suicidal and we end up going back to the hotel. And I remember him drawing me a bath and he's trying to like fix what he did. I don't know why I stayed. First of all, he was a charmer. Most abusers are. They're very charming. And he was very charismatic and he was very manipulative. He would play mind games. I remember one time I guess he was trying to figure out all the people I had been intimate with. So he comes home and he tells me, you slept with my cousin. And I'm like, who's your cousin? And he wouldn't tell me. He's like, well, just tell me everybody you slept with. So I'm naming all these men that I've slept with and I'm like racking my brain. And he's like, nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. Nope, to the point to where I ended up driving myself to the crazy hospital that night because I was in my mind convinced that I didn't know what I had done. He was able to get in my head like that. Mind you, again, I'm coming out of my ex-husband was 10 years older than me. And I got in that relationship when I was 16. So I had been manipulated by this older man for, almost 10 years. And so I was I had gained a lot of weight. I'm very self-conscious. I have children. The train doesn't help. I had gained a lot of weight from the pregnancies. And he's like, you're fat with 3 kids. There's no way anybody would ever want you. You're used up. You might as well settle for whatever you can get. My ex-husband burnt my clothes up in the barbecue grill when I first started like getting good jobs and stuff. He would burn my clothes up in the barbecue grill. He set the house on fire once. That was a whole incident that made the news. He locked himself in the house, doused the house with gasoline, and set the house on fire after I caught him. This was after he got a habit, and I found out because he stole all of our food stamps. We had our son. He was under a year. We had just got a pretty nice house. He has a job as a contractor at the time. We both also worked at a nightclub, so we had this party life and this professional life, and it was great. It was things were actually seeming to go pretty well, but it's like as soon as we got good, it's like then that's would come in because now we've got disposable income. He had came back to get my debit card to just get gas or something, and he just disappeared for 3 days. My bank account, $1,800 in the hole, and he comes in and sets the keys on the table and a suicide note and walks out the door. I'm scared to go to work. He's threatening to kill himself every 5 minutes. I'm calling his mom, like, yo, come get your son. I don't know what to do with this boy. Like, I'm trying to take him to the hospital. He's jumping out the car, like crazy stuff. So it all comes to a head when I'm getting ready to go grocery shopping. I'm asking him for the food stamp card, and he's acting really funny about giving it to me. He's like, well, I'll just give you cash. And I'm like, well, why would you give me cash? Like, come to find out, there's no food stamps on the card. So come to find out there's no money on the card. So, and I tell him that night when I'm piecing all this together, the store tells me they cannot get me the video footage until the next day. Now, this whole time I'm thinking the cashier that wrote my food stamp number down, and I'm thinking my mind is not even wrapped around this could be anything to do with anything we got something to do with. So the next day, I'm at work at the university, and they fax me the copy of the person going through the store, with the cart with this other person, this other male figure, and he was selling my food stamps. I call him. I'm at work again, so I call him, and I'm like, dude, I gave you a chance to tell me this, and you didn't tell me. But when you steal my food stamp, now you're stealing from my children. So at this point, I'm like, look, this is just call this quits. This is not going well. And so mind you, he's got abandonment issues. He's depressed and he's suicidal. So now he's like, well, I'm about to just blow this whole thing up. I'm just like, F it all. And I could hear it in his voice. And I remember going to my boss that day, and I'm fighting tears. I'm trying to be a strong Black woman. But I'm fighting these tears because I'm telling her, I'm like, if I don't go home, I'm not going to have a home to go home to. She had been seeing kind of lately, like, my work, I'm not doing as good as work. My work habits are kind of declining. I'm late. She could tell there's something going on. So she lets me go, and I take my best friend with me. I call my best friend. I call her, I'm about to pick you up and because I don't want to go to the crazy man by myself because we know how that could go. So I was like, let me take somebody with me. So I go get her, and the problem with this is her baby daddy happens to be over, and her baby daddy is like straight up gangster. So we got him with us now too, because he's like, I'm not letting my baby mama go to the crazy man house. When you get to the house, you can smell the gasoline from the curb. And I get to the front door, and he's got the screen door and everything locked. And I have a key to the main door, but the screen door don't have a key. So I can't get in the screen door. So I go around to the side, and the side door, when I get over there, he's in the process of getting ready to nail this door shut. So now this is when Monty, my best friend's baby daddy, he started talking stuff to my ex, like, oh, you a punk this, and you a this, why you know, this woman got kids, why you trying to take from her kid? Like, he started talking stuff to him. And when he starts talking stuff, you don't talk stuff to a crazy man. Now he just incited him. So he goes and he lights his cigarette, and when he lights his cigarette, he turns and he throws the lighter down, and the whole dining room table. So now I'm yelling, call 911, call 911, and here go her baby daddy, don't call 911, I got warrant. I'm like, don't leave. Like, my house is on fire. And so when the fire department got there, they wouldn't even go in at first because we don't know where he's at. They're waiting for KCPD. So KCPD comes, and they can't find him at first. They come to me, they're like, is there a crawl space or anything? And they find him up underneath the house. And the fire marshal was like, I don't know why your house did not go up in flames. I couldn't stay in the house for a while because it smelled like gas that bad. It was like the fire marshal was like, I don't know how your house is still here. I would say he does end up going to jail for that. He did like 8-9 months in jail for that. He claimed at that point that the money for the food stamps was supposed to be for the final payment on an engagement ring that he was about to lose. And even though I didn't believe it, I still kind of fell for it because I was just so excited at the word engagement. So he comes out of jail and we're engaged. You know, there's some smaller things in there that probably, you know, just, we had lots of like arguments. He held me at gunpoint at one point in time, wouldn't let me leave for a couple of days. But there was nothing that significant until finals week of my junior year. I had just gotten accepted to the Black Law Students Association. I'm traveling the country doing mock trial. I'm getting scholarship offers, and I'm getting recognized in a way that's making him very insecure. Now, mind you, at this time, we were engaged, and I'm actually trying to speed the wedding up because I'm telling him that I want his name on my degree. Because I'm like, this is us. I'm out here in the world, super career woman, but I wanted him to feel like, you know, I'm with you. You know, like this is still a combined effort. But he was very insecure. He got insecure because he's knowing that I'm around other successful Black men that are in alignment with how I'm thinking, and he's intimidated by that. It was last day of finals, and any college student knows what that feels like. Then I went and took my last final, and then I came home to take off my power suit and put on my dashiki, and I was headed to another meeting with now I'm about to go meet up with some of my revolutionary folks. I remember I'm in the mirror and I'm fixing my earrings and I'm putting on my ox, and he's like, oh, I guess you think you could leave again. And I'm like, yeah, I got work to do. He's like, you're supposed to get paid for work. And I'm like, there you go again. We used to always hate that word because in the revolution, we call it the work. You know, this is the work. We got work to do. We got people to save. We try to change lives. And I would always try to explain to him that it's not about the money all the time. I'm getting ready to leave, and he just decided that he didn't like this idea of me leaving again. I don't even remember the first strike or how the physical part began. I just know that we were in a newer house, and this bedroom that we got was massive. And I'm realizing that my only way to get out of this situation is through this window. So I got a long ways before I even get to the stairs. And then I got to get down the stairs. So the window was the closer option. And I'm processing this as he's on top of me, he's strangling me. All I know is I remember someone's hands around my neck, and I blacked out. I remember that the last thought I was thinking as I was blacking out was, get to the window. And my plan when I got to the window was either I was prepared to jump, but I was really just hoping that somebody might be out there and I could just yell. But when I got up and I jumped, and I didn't really jump. I just went to the window and I pushed it out. And I pushed it out, and he comes and he runs and he grabs me. And when he grabs me, I'm trying to grab the pane of the window, and the top of the window grabs my arm right in the nook, right there, and it gets caught in the glass. As he's pulling me back in the window, the glass just cuts right up in there, and it ends up severing the main nerve and the main artery. And it freaks both of us out. Like, it's like a scene out of a horror movie at this point, because blood is literally, I just cut your main artery in your arm. And so this blood just starts squirting everywhere. At this point, he's now trying to find my phone, which he had thrown, and so the battery pops out. So now we're looking for my phone. We call 911. He's freaking out. I'm freaking out. I'm just trying to stay calm because I don't want him to think that I'm about to tell on him, because I don't know what that might do to him. But I remember as soon as the ambulance door closes, I can hear it click, and I just start bawling and I'm screaming, "He tried to kill me, he tried to kill me." I was able to tell them on the 911 call what my blood type was. And they said that that's actually what saved my life, because I'm O positive, I have rare blood. They said that I had lost 67% of my blood volume. And by the time I got to the hospital, if the blood wasn't there at the same time, because I had to order it, and if it had not met me at the hospital at the same time, I didn't have those seconds to spare. I would have bled out. So that's my public service announcement for knowing your blood type. They say laughter is the best medicine. And in this case, laughter saved my arm is what I think about. They were getting ready to amputate my arm. I am left-handed, so this is my dominant hand. So that was a thing. So they were getting ready to amputate my arm when the surgeon comes in to make a joke with the surgeon who had been working on me. I'd been in surgery for 14 some odd hours at this point. And the surgeon comes in because I got like an inside joke going on, and he sees him in the OR, and he comes in to make this joke. And when he comes in to make this joke, him and the surgeon's like, "Hey, maybe you can help me with this." And it was that surgeon that came up with the idea. They took a vein right here from my leg, and this vein is what's in my arm. And that's how they saved my arm. Now, they told me I would never use this arm again. I do backflips now on this hand, handstands, and they told me I would never write again. I do some things different, like certain things, if you really pay attention to me, I do a little bit different, but if I didn't tell you, you probably wouldn't know. I made a choice at the time to not participate in the legal process in this case. Not so much for him at that time. This is 14 years ago. He was a great dad at one point. And my son still needed a father. And I wanted my son to have his dad. And so I chose that over me. He still came and got his son every so often. And my other children, he had a relationship with them. And I wanted him to be a dad. There was no excuse for what he did, but I understand between what happened in his childhood, what happens in the system to Black men, what systematic racism does, what oppression does, what poverty does, like all these things that contributed to our circumstance. I didn't want that to take away my child's father. He was a good dad for a while, but he was still struggling in all other areas of his life. And as much as he was a good father, he sucks at relationships. And so he would get in new relationships, and the women would always think that I would be jealous of them or that I wanted my baby daddy or something. And I was like, no, he's going to beat you. And when he does, you're going to put him in jail, and then my son has no father, which is the whole thing I was trying to avoid. And that's exactly what happened multiple times. To the point to where my son eventually, he's older now. He's, almost completely grown, and he's kind of begun to piece some of these pieces together and understanding that that's why me and his father aren't together. After that, I ended up not being able to keep that house, and I didn't think I wanted to. So me and my kids ended up spending that summer in a domestic violence shelter. At the time, I told them it was family camp. I found out recently that they really kind of didn't know. And they're grown now. My oldest is 26. My kids are 26, about to be 26, 25, 24, and almost 18. So they're grown now. And their recount of this, although they kind of know a little bit, they knew mama got hurt. But we stayed in the domestic violence shelter that summer. That summer kind of really set me up for where I'm at now, because the domestic violence shelter was very far away from the day camp and daycare that my kids went to every day. And I knew, from what I knew about child development, that kids need routine and steady schedule, and I knew that that would help them throughout this time. So it was very important to me to get them to that day camp daycare every day. But it was too far for me to afford the gas back and forth between the domestic violence shelter and the camp. So I used to go to the park behind the daycare, and it had a lake, and I would do yoga right there on the lake every day. I eventually formed a not-for-profit called Unsafe, because it was that time on my yoga mat every day, because I had nowhere else to go. And I went through every emotion, every thought, every phase right there on that mat on the side of this lake that in Kansas City is known for dead bodies. And I figured it out on a yoga mat. And then I later went on and got my yoga certification, and that's how I ended up in California. That was the organization I had for a while. So I'm 43 now. I have been dabbling in Hollywood, so I'm starting to get my feet wet. I wasn't really trying to, but I just kind of fell into doing some extra work, and that's kind of slowly blossoming. I still teach yoga. Yoga is a big part of my life. I also have a certification in stretch therapy and Reiki. I feel that that is a healing modality. I'm a certified life coach, and I use those modalities to help people transform their lives. My kids are flourishing, inspiring to me. They are my biggest supporters as well. I want them to follow their dreams, and they support me following mine. If anything, the most proudest thing I am of my kids is that they're really good people. The first thing I have to say is have some grace with yourself. We tend to want to blame ourselves for these types of decisions. And you know what? This world is harsh, and the setup is real, and there's so many traps. Social media, TV, entertainment, it makes it so easy for us to fall for those traps. So have some grace with yourself. You know, find people to talk to, find people you trust, and don't be afraid to start over. It's scary to leave, but it's scarier to stay. If you don't want to go to a friend's house, the shelters are there. They will help you. They have resources. It's not an attack on your ego or your pride. It doesn't make you less than. It gives you the resources and the tools that you need to, and you're gonna depend on that forever. You're gonna be able to have that there forever to go back to if you ever need help, someone to talk to, community resources that you may not be aware of. There is a way, and you just have to decide that you're worth it. I just want every person, every being deserves to be happy, deserves to feel safe. Nobody should be putting their hands or negative energy towards other people. Find other ways to channel it so that we can all evolve and live in peace.